The idea, too, that is fascinating to read about this is a sense of how desperate the money is needed. How, as much as you guys have, and as much as a foundation has, there's so much more needed. You know, that the central fact is the need for more funds.
It's huge. And anybody who gets into this, you know, their funding can only be catalytic. It can only be the wedge, because the money that comes out of philanthropy will still be tiny compared to the world's needs. Right. And so you have to always say, how can the thinking that comes from these organizations, or the risk that these organizations will take, because they'll think of a problem in a different way, or they'll tackle something in a different way with their money, how will that then spread to actually change a societal issue? And that's how you've got to, when you focus on the big issues, that's how you've got to think about it.
And that argument, incidentally, there will be certain people that have been successful in business, and if you can show them how their money might be leveraged, I mean, that really appeals to them. I mean,
leverage is an idea you understand.
Yeah, other people, you know, it's just the emotional, looking at a child that's been paralyzed or something. I mean, people respond to different motivations, but the leverage aspect is an important aspect. I mean,
and this is the first generation. I think we can say that these issues really are kind of solvable. You know, can everybody on the planet have access to good education? Can everybody on the planet have access to the food that they need? Can we, you know, take the American dream of opportunity and renew that by having a better education system? These things are within reach. If you were a philanthropist 50 years ago, you know, you just weren't going to see that the full achievement was possible. If you narrowed your vision to your neighborhood or your country, and that was a good way to go about it. But the amount of wealth in the world really is phenomenal now, and incentive systems means that it's very unequally distributed, and those incentive systems are very good things. What allows you to have those incredible incentive systems and yet equity? Well, philanthropy is one of the answers. Government programs along with philanthropy are really the way that you can have the best of both worlds.
I would argue, even that in terms of the wealthy giving to philanthropy, I would argue that it's not a bad thing in terms of your family. I mean, if you look at the Rockefeller family and the dozens and dozens that come from John D. Sr., I think the fact that he behaved as he did in terms of philanthropy, and that his son then behaved that way, I think it's set a tone for the family that is vastly different than where you've seen people behave in exactly the reverse manner. I would say very few families would be hurt in any way by having active participation in philanthropy, and I think many would be helped a lot. I know in my own case, I think it's been very, very good for my family.
Tell me how.
Well, I've had 3 children, and I enable them, my wife and I enable them to have their own philanthropic activities. I think they've become better citizens. I think they've become better sensitized to the problems other people have in this world. I think they raise their own children in turn better. I think they have better values because they've actually been able, really through my wife, initially probably was 99% responsible, but they have been sensitized to what you can do in this world, and they've gone out and done it, and they've combined their own energies and talents with the money that was allowed to them, and I think they have a better feeling about themselves. I think their children have a better feeling about them. I know their parents have a better feeling about them. So, I think a philanthropic family on balance, I mean, there's all kinds of exceptions, but a philanthropic family on balance is going to feel better about themselves and their progeny than a family that has been hanging on to every single penny.
And when you think